So guys, I've kind of realized that in a lot of my videos, they're kind of targeted to a friend or family member that's struggling with something and asks me for advice on it. But I actually want to, pull a story from my own book and talk about my experience of finding what I had always felt like I was missing and finding what I'd always been looking for, right? So just to start, uh, in middle school, well, I mean, it obviously goes way further back than that. But in middle school, I remember, kind of being excluded from friend groups and kind of just being kind of outcast, if you will, just like in all aspects, sports teams, classes, extracurriculars. Kind of always felt like it looked like everyone was, kind of in a bubble, and there I was. So I could kind of see everything that was happening in the bubble, but I was not really inside of myself. And rolling into high school, uh, that kind of persisted, and I was too scared to kind of strive further away from that bubble and try to enter a new bubble because I didn't want to miss out and just be stranded, you know. I settled for friends that didn't really help me improve in life, and I settled for friends that, oftentimes dragged me down instead of help me uplift. And so, in ninth grade and kind of all of high school actually, had always jumped from friend group to friend group, looking for that unconditional acceptance, uh, that unconditional desire to bring each other up, and just kind of find my perfect match of friends. Early in high school, I wasn't really looking for romance or love or anything. I kind of just wanted to just have friends, just as a start. Friends that really appreciated me for who I was. And so during high school, I kind of found a new friend group like every year, which I realized is not as common as I thought. And a lot of people I know here in college now, they had friends that, they stuck together like all 4 years high school, or, since past the pandemic ended or whatever. And I would think like, damn, like, what am I missing that I don't have that, right? Uh, like I feel like people got so much closer when they were, friends for longer than a year. But for me, I'd always get in disputes with someone, moral beliefs wouldn't really align, and it would cause a lot of tension. We'd kind of have like civil wars, and just choosing sides. Sometimes I wasn't always, the perpetrator, but just choosing sides, it really dissolved the friend group, and I realized, this is not the, building each other up that I really wanted. And so I would just jump to the next friend group instead of, seeing it through. And so there was that. And after like the third friend group or so, it was kind of in the middle of like my junior year of high school. I started telling myself that, clearly, like, trying to find a friend group where I can just, be inspirational and be inspired. I just thought to myself that that was unrealistic and that wouldn't really happen. It's ridiculous now looking at that and looking at where I am now, but I believe that if I'm chasing all this kind of stuff, I'm just gonna get the result that I always got. And instead, I'm gonna focus on my sport, focus on my job, and focus on like SAT scores, getting to college. And so I hit a point where some of these friends, they actually wanted to hang out with me, and what I was telling myself in my head, where like these friends are not good, they're not helping me in any way, I'd push them away, and I would get so deep into either my sport, my job, volunteer work, just anything aside from hanging out with friends, because I thought that in chasing what I wanted from those friendships, I lost part of myself, and in order to feel that kind of love, I had to go, chase money or, chase status. And that didn't really help either. When I got all those things, when I became a captain of the ice hockey team, when I'd saved up, she's like 30,000 in my bank account, it didn't really change how I felt in my heart. And even when I got into University of Michigan, it's a really tough school to get into, I'll say. I'm very proud to go here. And, a lot of people were very happy for me and congratulating me, and we celebrated. But it only felt good for a little bit. It never really felt like I expected it to feel. So in all my life, with my friends and my career, my hobbies, in everything, I tried to look for just that joyous feeling, and I never really found it, especially in high school. And then, I started getting conscious of the fact that I'd never had my first kiss. I'd never, I'd never even been on a date when I got into college. And I kind of accepted that, I'm inexperienced and I know what the culture is in this school. I'm not even going to bother trying to date in general. And so my first year was kind of spent in the same realm where I didn't really want to meet new people. I kind of just wanted my circle that I could, go to the gym with and, study with in a study room, just lock in together, whatever. But, again, I never really felt what I had wanted my whole life. And then, my second year, I actually got into a relationship, and I thought that was what I was looking for. I thought, that if I'd finally actually put myself out and gave an opportunity to, be loved romantically, that I would get what I wanted. And it was great for a time, but that came to an end. And so, obviously, like, it's a fleshly relationship, and it was not God-centered. I was not religious at the time. My partner at the time used to practice and stopped practicing for a couple of years, actually. And so, what I thought was what I'd always been looking for, it was kind of just lies from the devil. And I think in that moment, I was so lost because everything I tried, trying to, live for money, trying to live for, community, friendship, whatever, trying to live for status, trying to live for my career, trying to live for, a relationship. None of these things really helped me feel the love that I was looking for. It never really helped me feel the self-validation that I wanted. And so that brings me up to speed of very recently. Someone I'm very close to who had, never been in a relationship at all, never been on a date at all. He had his first little fling, and when it ended, he was like, how I felt talking to her was so amazing. Like, when you and your ex-girlfriend broke up, did you ever believe you could feel like that again, or did you ever feel that again? And I thought about it, and I was like, what I felt in that moment could not compare to what I feel from Jesus Christ now. And Jesus Christ was all I had been looking for the 19 years that I lived for worldly possessions, really. And sorry, this is like really really deep, but I kid you not, shout out my best friend Tommy. I usually try not to name drop people, but he deserves a shout out for this one. I kid you not, it was around New Year's, and I was having a lot of problems with my relationship, and he asked me, would you want to go to church on Sunday? And I was like, you know what? All this stuff that I've been chasing my whole life, it's never worked. This is the only thing that I've never tried. And so I went there, and I was really, really curious. I was like, sitting in this church, and just kneeling down and feeling, Jesus' presence for the first time, it got me really curious. I really wanted to know, like, how a Christian navigates life and how I can maybe feel what I've been looking for if I really dive into this. And, Tommy's been a great mentor for me over the past year or so that I've been practicing. And we've gotten to a point where he'll ask me for advice and I'll ask him as well. And at the start, it was a point where I would only ask him because I had no clue what I was doing. And it's just so. And shout out Tommy, man. Like, this shit, it's crazy because him bringing me to that church, it really started my journey of feeling that love in myself, the love that I always wanted, and then make my best effort to show that to other people and give other people what I'd always been looking for and what I believe that other people are looking for too deep down. I felt unconditional love, and I felt as though, all the mistakes that I'd made, instead of sulking in guilt and regret, that I could be forgiven for those. I didn't believe it at first. For 19 years, I had known about the forgiveness and stuff, but I believed that I didn't deserve to be forgiven. And that shied me away from Jesus because I believed that, you couldn't just be forgiven for your mistakes. You have to really sulk in them and develop from them and grow. But just coming to Jesus and realizing that that was unconditional love, that even though I made mistakes that went against what he wanted for me, that I could still be loved and accepted, that was everything that I needed. All the validation that I wanted from making as much money as I could, getting to the best college that I could, the validation I wanted from friends, partners, I could get that from Jesus. And with Jesus in my life, with my established relationship with him, I no longer feel like I'm inadequate. I no longer feel that I need more money, or I need better friends, or I need a partner. At this point, I accept that if Jesus is all I have, Jesus is all I need, and everything else in my life is just a blessing that he's given me. And this has really transformed how I see my life. Because as someone who originally always, I'm still all for self-improvement, but as someone who wanted to become the best that he could be in the fleshly world, no matter how much better I got every single day, every week, every month, year, you name it, when I'd look back, I would see that I have all these new possessions, I have, maybe a new relationship. I have a lot more money in my bank account. I have a lot more resume experience. I'm a lot stronger now. I realized that, my resume, if you will, it built up over time, but that feeling always stayed stagnant. And it wasn't until, I started trying to build my relationship with Jesus about New Year's that stagnant line kind of started to pick up a little bit. And now it's to a point where if I accept that everything in the world is a blessing from Jesus, that it can be taken away, but Jesus chooses not to take that away. And the fact that I have these things, and what are they for, right? If I don't deserve them because I'm a sinner, but Jesus gives me them anyways, if I can accept that, there are people that don't have these, I can look at it and say, Jesus blessed me with these things. Why? What purpose does that serve? What purpose am I meant to serve given these blessings, right? For example, job that I had over the summer. It was the person that hired me was a coworker of my father, right? Now, I wouldn't have got that on my own, but I was blessed with it. And so I didn't have to apply for jobs. I didn't have to go through the stress of searching, right? And for example, I get to eat 3 meals a day. I get to pretty much just go downstairs, grab anything from the fridge, and eat whenever I want. And I really analyze, why is that? Why am I so blessed? Why was I born into such a wealthy family? why do I have such a capable body? And I realize now that it's because everything around me, I'm blessed to have the convenience that everything around me kind of revolves around me in a way, and I'm aware of that. And so, if that's the case, then it's if everything else is convenient, what is this extra time that I could have to spend to work for paycheck to paycheck life? I can spend that time, on YouTube helping y'all. I can spend that time, in my sports, supporting my teammates, encouraging my teammates, being sportsmanlike to my opponents. I can spend that time, spreading Jesus' love. And so that's something that I've been really trying to do for pretty much the past year. And I feel like what was missing was that a lot of what I had worked for, the fleshly desires that I worked for, they were all for me. And now, because of my relationship with Jesus, everything that I do it to help others. I do it to help my family. I do it to help my friends, just my subscribers that watch these videos. And, just my neighbors in general. I'm told, love thy neighbor. And neighbor refers to, everyone around me. Not only just friends, but, people who hate me as well. And I think that oftentimes people who don't believe in Jesus, they'll always be chasing these certain desires of the flesh, and deep down, they'll know that they feel like they're missing something. And if you're in that spot, I really encourage you to just try. Just see how welcoming not only the church can be, but also how loving and how accepting God is, and how He'll tell you to come as you are, come as a sinner, come as someone who thinks they're too far gone, come as someone who's claimed a different religion, come as someone who's done so much wrong that they don't think they can be forgiven. Just try. I really encourage you just to try, because what you've always been missing, and you couldn't really pinpoint what it is, if you try that will probably be it. So this was a lot longer video than I expected, and it's actually taking me a couple takes, but I think that might be a pretty good one. Really good topic, I want to say, and really thank a lot of you guys for continuously supporting me and continuously keep me wanting to make these videos when I know they help, and I know that the Lord is able to do His work through me. And so, if you stuck around this long, I really thank you a lot. It means a lot to me. I hope to talk to you guys in a later video. Peace for now.